It's a great day, sports world. What's up to all the sports lovers, the haters, the addicts, and the fanatics out there? This is Larry Patterson with GT365. That's Game Time 365 Sports right here on the GTSN. That's the Game Time Sports Network. Coming to you a week later. This is the final draft recap. We're going to the NFC AFC South and get that one knocked out for you guys today. Give our perspective on the draft picks. Um, and then some other topics that we have before we jump into that. Hope everybody's doing well on this rainy Friday afternoon slash evening here in Virginia. Mom, what's going on, buddy?
Man, everything's going, man. Getting in the thick part of camp OTAs. So you're hearing, all the good positive feedback from each each draft class. But everybody's trying to get healthy. We got some injuries out there. Like we'll probably talk about the Malik Neighbors report that came out. But yeah, man. I'm happy all 32 teams are getting healthy. Excitement coming out of OTAs for the rookies. So yeah, man, it's the dog days of summer sports or fall sports now. So we'll get ready to crank this thing up here and get going here in a couple weeks.
Speaking of Malik Neighbors, we got the news today that he might not be ready for the start of the season due to John Harbaugh said it's not a simple knee injury. He tore his ACL in his right knee in September, and then he originally then he went for a meniscus tear and I can't talk, a meniscus repair.
Mm.
Several weeks later, second surgery was required recently to remove a scar tissue that was causing stiffness. He might not be available for the start of the season. And I texted you earlier. I said it's a good thing they did sign or drafted Malachi Lord,
Malachi Fields from Notre
Malachi
Dame.
Fields. Why I was thinking about Malachi Lawrence. They drafted Malachi Fields in this year's draft. What's your thoughts on that? And yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. Initially, when I first, seen it, I was like, okay, all right, he had a little major setback. But then when they had to, when you say they had to go in and do a second, something that kind of put me a little pause for cause, because the expectations with John Harbaugh coming up with being a high profile coach. You got Jackson Dart, Scatterboo, those boys, D.O. Johnson, my guy from Baltimore, Isaiah Likely. So on paper, that that offense looks pretty, not too shabby. With the revamped offensive line. Um, on paper, it looks good, man. But you start taking neighbors away. He might not be ready. You are you going to reply on reply? I'll rely on Malachi Fields to be your go to. So that means the run game gonna be even more important for the Giants at the beginning of the year until Malik Neighbors can get back, where he's supposed to be because he is the most explosive player on that offense right now. The most explosive player they had since Saquon Barkley. Put it like I'm gonna put it in that in that light for you. So yeah, man, this is a tough tough news to take if you're a Giants fan. Pray for the best. And yeah, man, so we should see some shakeups in the wide receiver room. I think they've been talking to Odell for a little bit. And maybe he can be like a little a little stopgap, a little help on the outside for them. He ain't the same Odell of 2013, 2014, but he's an MVP. I mean, MVP candidate at one point in his career. He's a Super Bowl champion for sure. So, hey, maybe he can give them a little something until Malik gets back 100% healthy. And one more point to this before we move on. I wonder, you know, it always make me think. I wonder if back to draft night. And I always go back to draft night. They knew this information, right? This information didn't get out. I wonder if Alred Reese wasn't there, would they go? Would they have went Tyson?
Uh, it, it, I thought you were about to say, well, yeah,
Well,
because Tyson was already, well, Tate was already off the board.
Tate
Yeah,
was gone, so it would have
yeah.
been Tyson or Tyson. I mean, in my mind, the way I'm looking at it is, hey, they had the higher grade on Reese, and maybe hey, now Malachi Fields, he's a good receiver now. He's 6'3". He can go up and get he can do whatever you need to do, but I don't know, man. They had a high grade on Reese because knowing the information that we know now, I wonder was there a thought of, hey, let's take Tyson just in case Malik's not ready. But nevertheless, they took Reese instead, and yeah, man, I'm interested to see how this season shakes off for them at the beginning.
As you said, drafted Malachi Fields. They also signed Darnell Mooney and Calvin Austin in the offseason. So those are some guys that they can fill in until Neighbors gets back. Speaking of more news on the Giants, they signed Joe Shane to a multi-year deal, a multi-year extension. Many would think that maybe after this season, maybe they would look to go in a different direction because after the Saquon, after the departure with that, there's many in that Giants organization or the fan base wanted Joe Shane gone. Couple draft, and I think Jackson Dart was one of the ones that saved him. And then by John Harbaugh coming over there being the head coach, and basically John Harbaugh, I would say from a lot of noise that you hear, Harbaugh was pretty much like the leader in signing the guys in the offseason. So how do you feel about Joe Shane getting his extension, and was it worth it?
Was it worth it? That's TBD. That's TBD. Because if the last past couple classes, if you want to add this class in too, you end up with Malik Labors, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo. You get Reese. You got who's the other first round pick? Who else did they get? CC Malnoa.
Yeah.
You get Malachi Fields in the second or third round. You add likely from Baltimore. So and then you got Andrew Thomas. He drafted Andrew Thomas. He retained my guy, right tackle he came on from Vegas. I can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me later. So you got a good solid offensive line. I think you got John Michael Schmidt as your center.
Yeah.
So he's put some talent on the board for the Giants. So is it really was it really worth it? I don't know, but me and you, we all know. Hey, once you got that quarterback in place, and Jackson Dart showing some promise in his rookie season, that kind of extends your shelf life as a GM. So they kind of like, okay, we got the guy. I think the Tisch family can trust you moving forward to make decisions. So, but like you said, I think Harbaugh came in. I'm pretty sure it was a deal to where hey, if I'm gonna be the head coach, I want to be the one calling the shots, like a John Gruden would, or Fisher back in the day with the Tennessee Titans. I'm gonna be the one that had the final say so. But is the extension worth it? Who knows? Giants fans, chime in, let us know what you think.
Lions linebacker Jack Campbell reaches a 4-year, $81 million extension. Not sure on the guarantees, but through 2023 was his rookie season. And this is what I'm talking about. Like when like you talk about teams like Dallas who wait too long to sign their guys. This guy's going into his fourth season, and they're already making extensions. 95 tackles in his first season, and then 131 and 176 in the last 2 years. Oh, by the way, he played all 17 games through all 3 seasons. I'm pretty sure you would say it's a payday well worth it.
Absolutely, she signed a 4-year, $81 million extension with 51 guaranteed. Had a breakout season, 176 tackles, 5 sacks, first team All Pro in the Pro Bowl selection. And he was the second first round pick of that year because remember they took Jamil Gibbs at 12.
Oh,
And then they came
I
back and
forgot
got
about that.
Campbell. And they came back and got Campbell at 18. And everybody was like, okay, Detroit is doing the unconventional thing, taking positions that are not, highly touted in the first round, running back and linebacker, they're taking them in the top 20. And man, I was looking at Brad Holmes and my coach Campbell was like, "What are they doing?" That's just a testament to your scouting staff, the conviction your GM has in your coach, and the conviction that the coach have in the player. So those are two unconventional first round picks. Hey, by the way, Jameer Gibbs' bag is coming up too. We just trying to see who gonna sign first between Bijan and him. Somebody's gonna want to go last. So we're trying to see who can play chicken and who's gonna want to go first. So that bag gonna be interesting when it comes up for sure.
I hate to be the GM and having to make the decision on that because the bag has got to be made.
Yeah, and it's I hate to be the GM, but I would want to be both of their agents at the same time because it's like who's going to stick their neck out the window and say, "Hey, I'm signing first," because once whoever gets reported first, the next one's going to come right behind them, $500,000 more, so they can say, "Hey, I'm the highest paid running back in the league." So, yeah, man, back to Jack Campbell, man, his well deserved extension. He's been a top middle linebacker in the league. He's helped change the Detroit culture in that city. And he's getting rewarded for it, man. So I'm happy for him.
Matthew Stafford landing a 1 year, $55 million extension. So he's under contract for the next 2 years. I don't know why I was thinking that maybe this year could be his last year, and it still can. But well, we talked about it yesterday. What's your thoughts on that? Was that the right move? Being that they wasted, I ain't gonna say wasted, but they invested the 13th overall pick, the 12th or 13th overall pick on a quarterback, Ty Simpson. So what's your thoughts about that?
I mean, is it the right or wrong move? I think it was the a necessary move because Stafford he's still playing at a high level. High level. He's an MVP of the league.
Yeah,
So
he
I mean, it's like you're gonna try to squeeze the orange as much as you can to get out of it until you say, hey, you know what, I can't do it no more. So I get it. They have the roster right now to win, and they're trying to extend it, this window a little bit by giving him another year on his contract. Um, Getting tight ends, everybody's gotten paid because we all know the defensive lineman coming up, Verse, Byron Young, Fisk, all those guys are coming. So I don't know if it was just a extension to lower the cap number so they can have more room to flex, to flex and get those guys signed. I'm not really sure, but either way it go, it's a good look for the Rams in general because we know, hey, the Packers just did the same thing, and I'm not saying they're following the model, but they did the same thing with Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love didn't see the field till year 3 after Aaron Rodgers decided to move on, so he had time to learn behind an MVP, all-time great, Hall of Famer. So this could be the road that they're going down. So I think it's not a bad look because maybe Ty Simpson is not ready to see the field next year. Maybe he is. It all depends on how this season ends for the Rams. If they enter a Super Bowl, I can see Stafford saying, let's ride off. But if they come up short, I can see him having the itch and having one more year to do this. So I see the extension. Long as Sean McVay's the head coach of the Rams, Stafford's going to play as long as he wants to, and that's just how the Rams operate, man. So I love it.
could also low key be in the AJ Brown sweepstakes as well, as far as a trade destination. So, um,
Potentially, I can see that. But then again, man, you got Puka, AJ Devontae, Terrence Ferguson, Tyler Higbee, Kyron Williams.
some Monstars.
So you got Monstars. You got my guy. What's my guy name? The little speed wide receiver. Uh, I
Uh,
can't think of
uh,
his name right now.
what
But
Tutu?
Tutu Atwell.
Well,
Tutu Atwell.
Tutu, he went. I forgot where he went to, but he's not with them anymore.
Oh, he left. But see,
But
man.
they did draft some receiver, I believe Mumfield. They drafted
Oh,
him like last year. So, but
yeah.
they still in great shape though.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
There's just one ball to go around, man. I don't know, man. Devontae's still a dog. AJ a dog. Puka. Whew. He one of the
man,
ones, man. It's still number one ball to go around. You got them young up and coming tight ends. I don't know, man, but I wouldn't be shocked if Leslie say F them picks again and get it done. So
he'll do it. Ready to get to this draft recap?
yeah,
All right. Where you want to go first? AFC and NFC?
we go NFC.
NFC. All right. So let's start with the Falcons. Atlanta Falcons. They didn't have a first round pick due to them trading up last year
For Pierce,
for Pierce.
James Pierce.
And man, all right. So in the second round, pick 48, they took cornerback Avion Terrell from Clemson. That is the brother of current Falcons cornerback AJ Terrell. Actually, both of them from Atlanta, Georgia, or somewhere around there. Um, so wow. And not surprised, but that's a unique situation. In the third round, pick 79 wide receiver Zachariah Branch from Georgia. In the fourth round, pick 134 linebacker Kendall Daniels from Oklahoma. Sixth round, pick 208 defensive tackle Ontario Thompson out of Washington. Also in the sixth round, pick 215 linebacker Harold Perkins Jr. out of LSU. At the beginning of the season, he was projected to go a lot higher than that. And we'll get your thoughts on that because somewhere there was a slip. And then in the seventh round, pick 231, offensive tackle Ethan
Yep, you got
uh
Anuana.
Anyuana.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going.
Out of Ohio State. Uh, so them going the quarterback position, which was a need, them going wide receiver spot, which was a need. What's your overall take on this whole draft here?
Yeah, man, I do like what the Falcons did not having the first round pick. Yes, they gave it up for James Pierce last year, but James Pierce showed flashes at the end of the season. I think he led all rookies in sacks last year. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he did.
But he had some off the field trouble that everybody knew about. So hopefully, he can get that squared away and get his head on straight and get back on the field. So they got Jalen Walker as well from last year's draft. So that's second, not secondary, but that front seven gonna be in decent shape. And with Avion Terrell, him playing with his brother AJ, I think that's a good thing for him. They say his pre-draft workout pre-draft workouts were not the greatest. He ran like a 4.6, but he was dealing with a hamstring. So I think he's way faster than that. He's a sticky slot corner. I see him playing the slot. He's great ball skills. He's not afraid to come up and tackle you. Zachariah Branch, that's just a missile in the slot. Georgia used him a lot in bubble screens and motion screens and stuff like that. But I think he has more to offer on the route tree than what Georgia did because hey, it's Georgia. They're gonna do what they want to do and they're gonna make it work. But I think at the NFL level with NFL coaching and a wide receiver coach, he's gonna expand his route tree. You're gonna see him take the top off the defense. So you blink, he's gone. He's just one of those guys that give you so much value in the kick return game and on offense. So I'm excited about Zachariah Branch. And we will talk about Harold Perkins here for a little bit because it's his freshman year, 2023.
Mhm.
I swore he's a top 10 lock. But play dipped off. He's tore his ACL his second year, so he really wasn't the same. It takes a year for you to get back to where you needs to be. And this last year, he's a light guy, Larry. He's like 230, so he doesn't have a true home. Like he can't. He's not light enough to play line, play on the edge, but he's not heavy enough to play on the D line. So that's why his value dropped a little bit. I thought he would have went a little higher than the sixth round. So the Falcons kind of got a quote unquote steal, in my opinion. But if he puts it together, he can be one of those hybrid type guys. Remember, like what's my boy that's in Miami that we all wanted? The guy from Pitt, Lewis, Kyle Lewis, I think his name.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
he's
Kyle.
he's one of those types, but he doesn't have the coverage ball skills like he do. But he can he can be a DPR for you, a designated pass rusher if you really need him to on third down.
And who knows what coaching, like he could be that all around guy. He can make it center edge. He make it playoff ball. So, uh, you got anything on Atlanta before we move on?
Nah, I ain't got no more on Atlanta because they didn't have they first, so first round picks are more of the main topic. But I think for what the Falcons had and Matt Ryan's first draft, I think he did outstanding coming in and taking over for the Falcons.
Uh, I know Penix is still recovering from his injury, the ACL. Tua is their quarterback now. And from Tua being in Miami to coming over to Atlanta, it really just still doesn't give me any confidence in that offense. But when you have Bijan and Drake, eliminates the kids, Casey Washington, Jahan Dawson there now with Kyle Pitts,
Hits.
them bringing in Zachariah Branch, I feel like was the right move.
He's gonna he's gonna take the top off your defense. And I have a hot take for you here while we're on the Falcons. They're going to be in the quarterback market next draft. I think so. I think they're one of those teams that is going to finally realize, not to say Penix he's a service quarterback, but I think they're going to go in another direction come next April.
Yeah, I just even before the injury, I just
You was already
saw.
skeptical about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now, as I say, and the greatest coach of all time in college, Nick Saban says, if you stay hurt in college, you stay hurt in the pros. And that and they got two guys that stay hurt in college, stay hurt in the pros, and then they're in the same quarterback room. So I think the Falcons are going to be in the quarterback market, either for a veteran or a rookie to come in next year and fight for some spots and some game time.
For sure, for sure. Could have went with a quarterback in the later rounds. Yeah.
They could have, but everybody wanted to take that 2024. 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12 picks. I mean, and then y'all got the one that went in the AFC Championship and picked what, 11, 12? 12?
12.
Yeah.
12.
So that's how the cookie crumble because nobody saw Penix going 8 that year besides Atlanta. So we'll see.
6 quarterbacks in that round, and we got the best one. So
I mean, that's that's another whole. I mean, Drake may the one that did beat you to get to the Super Bowl. He might be a little better, but that's another day. That's another topic for another day. Jaden Daniels still exists. He had a bad year, and Caleb Williams is doing all right. So, but hey, we're gonna move on to the next team.
Going on to the Carolina Panthers here. The Carolina Panthers pick 19. They took Monroe Freeland, offensive tackle out of Georgia. I believe we got that one right in our draft, in our mock draft. Second round, pick 49. They took defensive tackle Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. Third round, pick 83. Wide receiver Chris Brazzell, the second out of Tennessee. Fourth round, pick 129. Cornerback Will Lee the third out of Texas A&M. In the fifth round, 2 fifth-round picks. 144, center Sam Heck out of Kansas State, and safety Zakee Whitley out of Penn State and pick 151. And then in the 7th round, pick 227, linebacker Jackson Kuwach out of Miami of Ohio. I love what they did here in showing up more of a shield for Bryce Young, and then you turn it to the defensive line, getting another weapon in Chris Brazzell in the third round. What do you think about the Panthers draft here? I mean, yeah, Panthers draft.
Yeah, man, I like what the Panthers did, and I think I told you, via conversations. Monroe Freeland reminds me of Colton Miller a little bit. Nobody saw Colton Miller going top 15 picks back in 2018. He turned out to be a left tackle for the Vegas Raiders and a pretty good one. So Monroe Freeland, he's still young. I think, he's like 20 years old. So he has room to grow. He will be, I don't know if he'll be starting for the right or left tackle. Excuse me. I'm not sure their offensive line situation, but he's going to come in and be a immediate force for Bryce Young to keep him upright. He'll be a shield for him, like you said. And then Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech in his second round. We thought he had some first round buzz. Go ahead. You was about to say something?
Oh, I was just saying, at right tackle they got Taylor Moton, and then left tackle they got
Eke
Ekwonu. So that's so far right now.
Yeah, so he might be pushing Moton. Ekwonu can't stay healthy, from what all the reports I've been reading. So he can go either way, but I ultimately think they drafted him to be the left tackle of the future because I know Ekwonu got a his injuries is kind of like catching up to him. So, but he's flexible. He can play right and left. So, I remember at one point we had him pegged to the Browns in the top six. That's how you know how the
Yeah,
draft community is. You're up and down, you're up and down, you're up and down. But nevertheless, the one guy that intrigues me about this draft right here is Chris Braswell. I know you spoke to him, earlier in the process, and I've been seeing some stuff that's coming out of OTAs and rookie mini camps, and he's been, his body control is kind of amazing. 6'5", or true 6'5", and I'm pretty sure I don't know his 40 right now, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty fast coming out of Tennessee. But he's interesting to me to see if he can push Xavier Legette, who's a first round pick a few years ago. It just
mhm.
hasn't panned out for them like they were hoping. So hopefully he can push Xavier Legette to get to where he need to be. But I think he ultimately takes some snaps away from him this season, opposite of Tetero McMillan, and then you got my guy Jalen Coker in the slot. So they do have some weapons on the outside. I think Braswell will be a good addition to the wide receiver room. And then you got Sam Height in the fifth round. He's going to be pushing for a starting spot as a rookie to fortify that offensive line for Bryce Young. I see the theme of this draft for them was trenches.
Yeah.
Monroe, Lee, then you go get Sam Height in the fifth round. And they didn't. I don't think they picked up Bryce Young's fifth year option. I
No,
don't
they didn't.
believe so. So this is a big year for him, and you want to give him protection, to see if he's really that guy. So I think getting weapons, you have the weapons now. You got Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle, he's not there. He's in I don't know where he's at.
Pittsburgh.
He's in Pittsburgh now. So um, but you still got stable running backs. So it's on you now, Bryson. You got Trimble. So hey man, if you want to earn this big contract money, yeah, they're definitely doing everything in their power to make sure that happens.
Chuba starting running back right now, along with Jonathan Brooks, who hasn't played like what his first three
ACL, man.
seasons.
Yeah, it's ACL, his knees, man.
Trevor Etienne. That rounds up your running back room. So I feel like if there's a running back that is looking for a contract or that a team is willing to cut ties with, I feel like right before the season, right around training camp time and all that, when preseason's going on, I feel like they could be trading for another one. Uh,
Sure.
Ted, Jalen, as you said, Xavier Legette, Jimmy Horn, John Mechie, Chris Brazzle. That's a hell of a young core, along with
That's not
Tommy
a
Tremble,
bad wide receiver room at all, bro.
along with Tommy Tremble and Jatavian Sanders, who showed some flashes as well. That's a hell of a lot of length. That's a young wide receiver group who went to the playoffs last year and played a hell of a game against the Rams in that game
Took him down to the wire at home. So
at
I
home.
mean, so yeah, man.
Uh, you done? We done with the Panthers?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, let's go Tampa Bay and
Good
Tampa.
God, boy! Look at these first four picks. Jesus.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tampa had a hell of a draft. Pick 15, it took Ruben Bain Jr., who we also got there right in our mock draft out of Miami. Second round, pick 46, Josiah Trotter, linebacker out of Missouri. Third round, pick 84, wide receiver Ted Hurst out of Georgia State. Love his film. In the fourth round, pick 116, cornerback Keontae Scott. He ran a 4.2 in his 40, right?
Yes.
Yeah, ran a 4.2. He's good coverage skills. He's gonna be a hell of a player. I like what they did there. Fifth round pick 155, defensive tackle DeMonte Capehart out of Clemson. Also in the fifth round pick 160, offensive guard Billy Shaw and out of Notre Dame. And in the sixth round, pick 185, tight end Bauer Sharp out of LSU. Your thoughts on these first four picks? As you said, you get you a nice aggressive corner in the fourth, another weapon in the third to go along with Mecca Abuka, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, Tez Johnson. You got a lot of speed over there. Circle around. In the second, you get Josiah Trotter. You get you a linebacker, Ruben Bay. What's your thoughts about this, man?
Brother, you got four starters right there. Ruben, Trotter, Hurst, and Keontae Scott. They will play day one. And Ruben has much as and I think you agree with me when I say this, much as people, bashed him for the short arms or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But what you've been putting on tape the last 2, 3 years is who you really are. And until somebody say otherwise that you can't do that in the league, he's gonna do exactly what he's been doing in college. He's gonna be yes, they're gonna be tackles at a 6'7". Some people say that he might have a hard time getting around the tackles, but just look at Markel Bell, the guy they played you know, with the offensive tackle from was it Texas A&M? I can't think of the guy, not Markel Bell, but it was one tackle from Texas A&M that got drafted this year, and he embarrassed them. He embarrassed Ohio State's offensive line, and it's in the semifinals. So I don't worry about Bain. I think he might be in defensive rookie of the year honorees for me at the end of the season. He has a chip on his shoulder. He's a no nonsense guy. He got an old school '70s throwback, smoke a cigarette on the sideline type haircut. So he all business. He ain't with that with that rah rah. He mean business when he get on the field. And I think Tampa Bay giving some juice off the edge was on opposite of Yaya Black or Yaya Diaby. That's much needed. You got Kalaz Kansey, in the middle. The Bucks defensive line is unique because they're not the typical 6'7", 275 type guys. If you look at Bain's measurables, you look at Kansey's measurables, they're undersized, quote unquote, for what they have, on the defensive line. So, hey, my boy Jay Quimby, if you in here, man, I know you're gonna see this later on. Let us know what you think about the what I said about your defensive line. Um, so yeah, man, I like what Bain did. What Bain's going to do for Tampa Bay, and then they go get Josiah Trotter in the second round. That pedigree speaks for itself. We ain't got to even go much into detail. We know what he kind of player he'll be. So
As you said, in line to be a starter as well, sitting behind Alexander Looney right now.
yeah, and remember they lost Levante David. He retired,
Yeah,
and so that's perfect. That's a perfect
slide right
transition.
on in.
Slide right on in, man. Because the Buccaneers, they have a tradition of having great linebackers. You go from Brooks to Levante David, and then Trotter can be the next one of them Buccaneer greats. Yeah, man. Then you go. Who's the Ted Hurst in the third round?
Yep.
Yes, that's. Remember I told you about him. I said, hey, keep an eye out for him. I
Yeah,
told you
and
maybe a couple weeks ago,
I watched this film, and I
bro.
was
Bro,
yeah.
he's gonna yeah, bro. He's gonna be he's gonna be one of them ones, bro. I got a feeling, man, to get him in the third round. And he's replacing he's not Mike Evans, but he do Mike Evans type things. So I like that pick and Keontae Scott. We seen what he did in the college football playoffs and being around the line of scrimmage making plays. So I just like what the Buccaneers did. Jason Light down there. He's been a solid drafter ever since he took over. Taking Winfield, getting Cansey. You know,
Absolutely.
he just seemed like he don't miss. Took Tristan Wirfs,
Yep.
taking a swing at Baker Mayfield in free agency. You got what's the running back name from Oregon that they drafted? They had
Bucky
Rashad White,
Irving.
Bucky Irvin. You got a Booker. Last year it seemed like this Jason Light man. He just know how to put a football team together. You got Winfield playing back there. They had Jamel Dean. He left and went to Pittsburgh. So I mean, until Jason Light's a great drafter, bro,
Also signing Kenneth Gainwell in the offseason as well. So
from
uh,
Pittsburgh.
from Pittsburgh, low key sign right there. Low key sign. Let's go to our last team in the NFC South. It's the New Orleans Saints. First round, pick 8. They went with a smart pick here, and they took Jordan Tyson from Arizona. In the second round, pick 42, defensive tackle Christian Miller out of Georgia. Third round, pick 73, tight end Oscar Delp out of Georgia. In the fourth round, pick 132, offensive guard Jeremiah Wright from Auburn. Fourth round, pick 136, wide receiver Bryce Lane out of North Dakota State. Woo! In the fifth round, pick 172, safety Lorenzo Styles Jr. out of Ohio State. He had a wonderful combine. In the sixth round, pick 190, wide receiver Baron Brown right there in LSU. And in the seventh round, pick 219, quarterback TJ Hall out of Iowa. This low key right here, I think, will put the Saints in some sort of position to be contended for that NFC South.
Bro, this right here is one draft that I slept on. Of course, we know about Christian Miller, and Jordan Tyson, but Oscar Dale, Bryce Lance. You got Bryce Lane right there. We can put the C in there later. Lorenzo Styles.
Oh man.
Yeah, we'll producer. We'll find a producer for that. But the thing I like what the Saints did, pick 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth round to get Lorenzo Styles. I like all of those, but the thing that concerns me about the Saints draft is Jordan Tyson, his health.
Yeah.
Now health aside, correct? This is going to be one of those teams that's going to be a fit for everybody they play this year because Tyler Shuck being another year in the league. You got Olave, you got Tyson, you got Jawan Johnson, you got Oscar Delp that can do a little bit. He was behind Brock Bowers at Georgia. You got Bryce Lance that could be to stretch the field. I don't know how much he's going to play, but he's going to stretch the field. Oh, by the way, you drafted what's my boy? You got Banks last year. You got Talise Fuaga. You got Alvin Kamara. You got Travis Etienne that came over from the Jaguars. You have no cornerstones on defense because Demario Davis he's gone. Cam Jordan he's not there. So Pete Warner is your guy on defense.
So far.
So far, he's your only guy. So yeah, but they're going to be feisty for sure, man. And then one more thing, the depth at wide receiver scares me because with Jordan Tyson injury history and Chris Olave concussion history,
I was waiting till you said it.
that scares me a little bit. After those two, who do you have behind that you can really trust? No, So that is the only thing that concerns me. But like I said, clean bill of health. The NFC South got hell on their hands with the New Orleans Saints, and every team on their schedule this year, they're going to give them fits. They might not win them all, but they're going to give some people a little run for their money.
I feel like they'll be very competitive. It is one thing that a lot of people won't want not looking at. I know you will. Like you alluded to with Kelvin Banks that you drafted last year, Fuaga, Cesar Ruiz still at the right guard, David Edwards who's got some experience, and Eric McCoy. Solid offensive line right there.
Some
Only thing
solid
is,
line.
like you said, Chris Olave, can he stay healthy? Jordan Tyson, can he stay healthy? This is legit. What's my head coach name? Blanking on
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore. With the things that he could draw up. Oh, HN Kamara, if he's still there, and then Devin Neal, who showed some stuff last year. So it's not a bad group. And, I mean, defensively, I don't know where they'll be, but offensively,
They loaded. They
yeah.
are loaded, bro. They're going to scare some folks, man. They're definitely going to scare some folks.
Going to the AFC South side. Now we're gonna cross over and first round they took pick 26 offensive guard Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. Second round they had two second round picks at 36. Defensive tackle Cade McDonald out of Ohio State, and then pick 59 tight end Marlon Klein out of Michigan. Fourth round, two fourth round picks, 106 offensive guard for Bechi Nueu.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Out of Oklahoma, and pick 123 linebacker Wade Woodis out of Clemson. Fifth round, pick 141 safety Kamari Ramsey out of USC. In the
How you fall
sixth
to the
round,
fifth round? Lord have mercy.
In the sixth round, pick 204 wide receiver Lewis Bond out of Boston College. And the seventh round, pick 243 linebacker Aiden Fisher out of Indiana. This was more of like a trenches type of draft. You know, you get your offensive guard, uh, and then you get Rutland, get McDonald on the other side. My question to you, and you should know him pretty well because you're a Michigan fan. Out of all the other tight ends that's in this draft, at pick 59, you took Marlon Klein, which had 350, 303. He only had a little over 300. Well, he had 300 plus yards of receiving. And I remember me and you had this conversation. We were talking about how certain GMs, the way they draft, like maybe you could be overthinking the process instead of taking the guy that might have, the more stats or, show more production in college. You're going after the guy that he was an inline tight end, more of a extra linebacker, and more of an extra offensive lineman blocking. And I asked you, was it could have been like a character type of pick? Uh, you know, good character, good locker room guy. But I mean, if so, second round, was that a little too high for him?
Well, see, and I'm glad you brought this up. I'm gonna attack this question twofold. Number one, the league is trending to a 13 personnel. The Rams doing it. Think about all the top. Think about the top five teams in their tight end core, right? The Rams. They got Ferguson, Higbee, and somebody else I can't believe. They even drafted a tight end this year. The league is going to 13 personnel because the defenses are going back to cover two shells, right? So that means, hey, you're gonna have lighter boxes. We're gonna put our big people on the field, and we're gonna, run and pass equally out of those sets. So that's one thing. Think about it. The tight end rooms. You got the Rams, Vegas, Bills. You get when the Jets get some experience, Sadiq and Mason Taylor are missing another team. They got two awesome tight ends. I can't think right now, but the league is trending that way. So when the league is cyclical. So once one team start doing something, everybody's gonna want to copy. That. So I think that's what's happening there because all the tight ends got pushed up around. We talked about the tight end from the Jaguars. We're going to talk about in a minute. Nobody saw him going in the second round. Marlon Klein went in the second round. Max Clare went in the second round, third round. My boy, I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank. Oscar Delp, we just talked about him, and he went in the third, fourth round. So the league is on like a monkey see, monkey do type thing. So they're trying to get ahead of the curve. And I think the Rams being in 13 personnel last year kind of like spearheaded that cycle of tight ends. And another thing is you have to understand Klein has this ability to play. Yes, he has 351 receiving college yards, but he was also playing behind Colston Loveland at Michigan. And we know where he went in top 10 last year. So he
Got
has that skill to be an inline blocker and flex out. You just didn't see it as much because Colston Loveland was the main guy last year. So, and me watching Michigan, I can tell you exactly what it was when Colston was coming out. He was numero uno, and Klein was just a steady Eddie. But when he did flash, he can make those plays for you. So that's the reason why he went as high as he did. Like, yes, you see on tape, you know, plays here and plays there, but when you sit behind Loveland as a top 10 pick,
a lot of learning.
a lot of learning. You get overshadowed a whole lot because of Loveland's draft profile. But he's more than capable of giving production like Colston Loveland do. You didn't see it because they threw the ball to him. So that's my answer to why he went in the second round.
Okay. Any of these other draft picks that you want to touch on?
I don't know how
Kamari
Kamari
Ramsey.
Ramsey fell to the fifth round. Maybe I missed something there, but he was one of them guys that came off the tape at USC. For me, I thought he would be a second or third rounder. late second, early third round guy for me. I don't know, the reason why he failed. And then Aiden Fisher, 7th round out of Indiana. If you watch that championship run, he was the leader in the heart of that defense. A transfer from JMU. He came over with Signetti, and he just made plays all over the field. So to get him in the 7th round, give some depth to the linebacker room. They lost Christian Harris to free agency, so he's not there anymore. So I think Aiden Fisher will make a impact on his team on special teams first, and then he'll edge his way into making it into the defensive rotation.
Yeah, you lose out on one, you grab you two
Absolutely,
linebackers. The Kate McDonald pick, I feel like is gonna
bro.
at the with already dominant defensive line. I think that one is gonna be the one right there.
Bro. When I tell you, I won't even watch it, bro. I was watching Reese film, right? I was watching Reese and Downs film like back to back days. It was like on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and I remember texting you. I was like, this was early in the process, right? I was like, who is 98? And yeah, bro, it was just not good. Not a good day at the office for the centers and guards they was playing against because he was just moving them around. I was like, who is 98, bro? Like, because it's always that one that always pop up late. You remember because you remember we talked about Downs and Reese, rightfully so. But you're like, yo, who number 98? Nobody said anything. He popped up late, just like Jalen Carter back at Georgia. Remember they had Jordan Davis and somebody else in the middle, and they was like, wait a minute, it's another one that's coming out next year. He might be better than all of them. Same thing here with these. Same thing here with these guys. Cade McDonald could be the best football player out of Reese Styles and Downs if we really be honest with you, because Houston, Texas fans, you just be ready. AFC South be ready because you got hell on your hands with number 98, boy. Woo.
Ohio State and Georgia producing it, man.
Yeah, man,
Producing it.
but them boys in Georgia, man, they act like they on NASCAR and stuff. I don't put that's another whole topic for another day, though.
Speed demons.
Yeah,
Uh, Going to the Tennessee Titans here. First round, they had two first round picks. It took fourth overall Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, circled back in the first round at pick 31 and took Keldrick Falk, defensive end out of Auburn. In the second round, pick 60, they took linebacker Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas. And two fifth-round picks at 142, offensive guard Fernando Carmona out of Arkansas, and pick 165, running back Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State. Hell of a running back there. Two six-round picks at 184, defensive tackle Jackie Marshall out of Baylor, and 194 center Pat Coogan out of Indiana. He's got some championship experience, just coming off one. And in the seventh round, pick 225, tight end Jared Caddick out of Oklahoma. Uh, we 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 looked at after Jeremiah Love was taken third overall by the Cardinals, which that's where Tennessee was projected where we had him, or where a lot of people had him. But you can't argue that the Carnell Tate pick right here was the right pick. I think it was. You needed another weapon for my guy Cam Ward, and I feel like a lot of questions about, well, he wasn't the starter. He wasn't even the best wide receiver at Ohio State, but nevertheless, I think that they did the right thing and took the right guy at fourth overall. What you think?
yeah. I go back and forth with this one. I understand. You coming in, you're solid. You got your franchise quarterback. Um, you want to make sure he is taken care of and make sure he's given the best opportunity to thrive under Brian Dable. So I understand it. Like I said, I think me and you would agree if Jeremiah Love would have slipped right here, he would have been perfect. He would have been taken. Um, some people argue is why did you draft the number 2 at number 4 overall? brother, let me tell you, they got a Jeremiah Smith over there that's going to be speaking. Hey, I'm here next year, and is he a two? He could. They drafted him to be a one. So my thing is, is he going to play the X? Are they going to let Eric Aomanor play the? You still got Calvin Ridley as well. Or is really going to play the X? Is Tate going to play the Z? I don't know how they're going to do it. They got
And
Wandale as
Wandale
well,
Robinson.
and Wandale. So it's very interesting to see. I hope Calvin really stays uh, for Cornell Tate to learn from. But they drafted him to be. When you draft number somebody 4 overall, they expect you come in and be the big dog. You the X. You the man. Um, I don't know right now. Early in his career, he has that type of um, game to where he can be the X. Maybe in a year or two, he could probably take over. But the little things that concern me about Tate, which is very small. Um, he wasn't asked to be the ex Ohio State. We know Jeremiah Smith was the man at Ohio State. So you coming in and be that ex guy right now, I don't know how he's going to handle that. He doesn't get much yards after catch. He maybe 2.3 yards after catch. He may go. That's not it. That's not a lot. So hopefully with coach of wide receiver, NFL coaching, Ohio State wide receivers rarely miss anyway. So we can go back to way back when, they just put out good receivers. So the
Good
chances of
contest
him,
catch guy.
good, great, 50-50 guy is more like an 80-20 with him. But, Ohio State normally they produces top notch wide receivers. So I don't see why he can't come in the league and be just as effective as Marvin Harrison Jr. or any of those guys. So, I like to take pick for them right there. And then you go back and you double back and you get Keldrick Falk at the end of the first round. He's a solid guy. They drafted Michael Williams in San Francisco when Salah was there last year. So I can see that type of game plan that they have for him. He's a little raw. He's a great run defender. He has some pass rush upside, and just have to get that out of him. And to get Anthony Hill at 60 in the second
Steal.
round, I think that was a great pickup to play alongside Cedric Gray, who's a great quality starter for them. And then to get Pat Coogan, that has championship experience playing with Fernando Mendoza and the team in Indiana. He was the MVP of the Rose Bowl. Pat Coogan was. He was
Wow.
co-MVP of the Rose Bowl. So that says a whole lot about you as an offensive lineman that you're the MVP of the Rose Bowl. So I think that's pretty cool of them to get him in the 6th round to put give that room some depth. So I like what the Texans did. I like what the Texans did. The NFC South. I mean, the AFC South is pretty surprising. Once you really look at the landscape of their picks, I think they did very well for themselves. So
Them getting Nick Singleton in the fifth round, I feel like it's going to be a steal. And he could push Spears and possibly Tony Pollard as well, because Tony Pollard's getting older.
yeah,
Uh,
to me saying that hey, they don't have their bell cow running back yet, but to me that signals hey we about to transition into finding that guy for sure.
yeah. They okay. Yeah. So they John Franklin Myers coming over there, Jeffrey Simmons to round out that defensive line. So I mean, Titans could be for an improvement, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
Uh,
Robert Sala's definitely going to get them right, man. You just need more than one off season to get it done. So,
yeah. Going to the Colts. I feel like they had one of the more underrated drafts here as well.
oh, a
Second,
1,000%.
second round, pick 53, linebacker CJ Allen out of Georgia. Third round, pick 78, AJ Halsey out of LSU, safety. Two fourth round picks, 113, offensive guard Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky. And pick 135, linebacker Bryce Betcher out of Oregon. Sleeper. Um, in the fifth round, pick 156, defensive end George Gums Jr. out of Florida. In the sixth round, pick 214, defensive end Cade Curry out of Ohio State. In two seventh round picks at 237, running back Seth McGowan, a little older guy. but he can move out of Kentucky, and then pick 254 wide receiver Deion Burks out of Oklahoma, another one that fell way down the ladder that I didn't think he was going to fall that far, but the Colts had a tremendous draft here.
Yeah, they had a decent draft, man. If you want to add Sauce Gardner as their first round pick, so you get Sauce Gardner, C.J. Allen, A.J. Halsey, Farmer.
My boy Sauce.
Yeah, yeah. Your boy Sauce. Uh, your boy Sauce. I like Caden Curry out of Ohio State too. He came up the screen. He the guy that hit Mendoza when I first played in the Big Ten championship, and we was like,
Okay.
that was him. That rocked him pretty good. So he's a good edge defender. Can give you a little juice, give you a little run defense. So and Deion Burks falling to the seventh round was mind blowing. I had a fourth round grade on him to get him in the seventh round. That's great value. He's gonna give you a little something on the slot. Might not be the fastest guy, but he can get open for sure. And they're gonna scheme him open. C.J. Allen, I thought he had some first round potential. People bashed him for his pro day, say he's a little stiff or whatever the case may be. Yeah, that's just pro day talk. But once again, you go back to Georgia, he's a leader of that team. He's a captain. Everybody, went as he went, and you need that for the Colts. Now that you lost Zaire Franklin to the Green Bay Packers, you need somebody to come in and wear that green dot for them. So he'll definitely do that day one for the Colts defense. So all in all, yeah, I like what the Colts did. If you add your boy Sauce Gardner to the first round, I think it was a good draft for them.
Can you see the top two possibly being starters?
Oh, for sure. And don't be surprised if Jalen Farmer, pushes for some spots as well.
Okay. Bryce Betcher, you see him more of pushing or just maybe like a special teamer pushing his way up?
Yeah, he definitely a special team and push his way into the rotation here late on in the season for sure. So I definitely see majority of them hitting the field at some point this year.
And we're going on to our last team, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Great
They had
name.
a lot of picks. Second round, pick 56, tight end Nate Borkshire out
Orchestra,
of
yep, you hit
Texas.
that one.
Out of Texas A&M. In the third round, pick 81, defensive tackle Albert Regis out of Texas A&M. Took two Texas A&M back-to-back guys. In the third round, pick 88, offensive guard Emmanuel Pregnan out of Oregon. Also in the third round, pick 100, safety Jalen Husky out of Maryland. In the fourth round, pick 119, defensive end Wesley Williams out of Duke. Fifth round, pick 164, tight end Tanner Kozul out of Houston. Two six-round picks, 191, wide receiver Josh Cameron, Baylor, my boy. And also in the sixth round, pick 203, wide receiver CJ Williams out of Stanford. And two seventh round picks at 233, defensive end Zach Durfee out of Washington. And 240, linebacker Parker Hughes out of Middle Tennessee State. The Josh Cameron pick, well, we talked about Cameron. That's gonna be one of the more underrated picks. I feel like if he makes the team and everything goes right, I feel like there's a lot you can do with him. I like what they did taking Emmanuel pregnant right there in the third round, and
Mm-hmm.
also you get another defensive tackle in Albert Regis, the tight end right there with Texas A&M. I know you wanted to touch on that when we was talking about the Houston pick, about them taking the tight end in the second round. Any more you want to elaborate to that?
No, not really. But one thing I would say, James Gladstone, where did he come from?
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say, right? They think the same, philosophy's the same. 13 personnel, and they drafted two of them here in this draft, one in the second and one in the fifth round. So I understand that now that I understand where the league is going. Now all these tight ends, like I said, Larry, in the previous when we were talking about the Texans, or the Saints, I'm one of the two. The league is pushing these tight ends up a round earlier than where they need to go because they're trying to get personnel to counter what these defenses are doing on Sunday. So, but I like the Emmanuel Pregnon pick. I think you like the Josh Cameron pick. He has some potential at Baylor. He like 6'3", one like a 4'3", 4'4". So hopefully he can see the field. And then once again, their first round pick, they didn't have one because they traded up for Travis Hunter. So
Mm.
hopefully he can have a bounce back and have an all pro season at cornerback like they expect him to be. So
Travis Hunter not playing both sides of the ball this year, and more so playing quarterback. Uh,
I think he's gonna play both sides of the ball, bro.
yeah,
I
I
think he'll
think
get more snaps at corner than he do wide receiver.
yeah, I think it'll be some type of special packages lined up for him. Um, I think that's basically that's all the teams.
That's
Um,
everybody, bro.
yep. Anything else you want to elaborate on before we get up out of here?
No, man. I know this, hey, everybody right now grinding, trying to stay healthy, learning playbooks and everything. And it's not gonna be a, easy transition for some of these guys, especially the top guys that, they're definitely gonna struggle getting used to the NFL speed. Um the stuff that goes on off screen, the Monday through Thursday, the going in at 6 o'clock, getting out at 8 o'clock. The grind's about to be real for some of them. So preseason will be here August 8th. If time is rolling, so we'll see some live football here in a few months, man. But other than that, no, man, I'm just happy that all 32 teams felt like they got one step closer to the Lombardi Trophy. Ultimately, reality is set in for 31 of those teams that, hey, we came up just short. But I'm excited for every fan base. Every fan base right now should be excited with, going in, predicting how many games they're gonna win, right now. So but yeah, that's all I got for this episode, bro.
And the schedule dropped last week.
Probably like two, yeah, like the
two,
14th one.
2 weeks, something like that. But yeah, like you said, excited for each team, and each team will feel like they've improved. So we'll see how that goes. We got a gang of shows possibly lined up for you guys next week. Cool topics. Want you guys' opinion on that as well. For Washington, my guy. Thank you for another great episode, Larry Patterson. Until then, and good night, everybody.